we have learned, the spine of the horoscope, straight up and down, this is where we read our parents. The parents are 90 degrees from our horizon, our personal thrust in life. That implies tension to an astrologer, and a student will learn about this very quickly. Again, we have a meaning. What's wrong with tension? That tension is a cue word. We need our parents not only for nurturance and support, but we need them for contrast. There's no one in this room who has gone through life development without extraordinary tension with his or her parents. It's an absolute essential way to develop. Get away from my skirts. Cut the umbilical cord. Go out and be a man. Earn your own living. The whole process of this getting out of the house is what I'm talking about here. It's healthy. Maybe it is not done smoothly. Maybe it's done prematurely or too late. Maybe it's done for the wrong reasons. That's the analytical substance that you find out with your client. There's no way on God's earth for an astrologer or anybody else to know the answers to those questions. We do not control. We ask some questions. We determine some values. We give substance and meaning to time, and we're doing it through a relationship with our client. If we take a look at our self-worth profile within a horoscope, we see that it's constantly, always being challenged by the self-worth profile of someone else with whom we come into relationship. There's that first meeting that the I say. How content are you with yourself versus how you perceive how content I am with myself, and what can you possibly give me that will benefit me, and what can I possibly give you that will benefit you? That goes on all the time. It's an instant assessment. It's a value judgment. It's an exploitation maneuver. It's a strategic plan. Wow, does he find me attractive? I hope he does. And vice versa. No matter whether there's any accessibility potential whatsoever. Doesn't make any difference. There is this constant awareness of being evaluated. Why else dress well? Or not well, purposefully. What is it all saying to us? These are the things. Isn't it fascinating that there are some people who are unable to give compliments because they feel that it diminishes themselves? A very interesting observation. These are the things within relationship that astrology can measure extremely well. It can indicate how to begin a good conversation. Astrology can't control this, evaluate it from afar. Astrology can't say, because of this, this is how you is. Then there's no conversation. And last night's skit was so brilliant because of the insights to what astrology presumes to do in bad practice, and therefore it illustrated what astrology cannot do in anybody's practice. It was a terribly instructive thing. Overall, I think astrology reveals our relationship with our purpose. Remember that beautiful moment where the soul has picked this time to be born, chosen those parents, chosen those problems in your school years, chosen those difficulties in abandoning your education, chose those difficulties in your getting off on the wrong foot in the wrong job, chose those problems with children too early, chose those problems with money and housing, and looking back on your parents and saying, gee, you're still not proud of me yet. Chose all sorts of things that you worry about and get upset about. It chose those defenses that were extremely essential in your early development years. And the astrologer knows how to find those things. The astrologer has learned that astrology is eminently able to point out the dimension of these tensions, since these tensions are anticipatable. The dimensions of them are clear, the timing of them are clear. The relationship you have with your client allows you to have a good discussion. And as Yogi Berra, the great astrologer, said, when you open your eyes, you see a lot. And you have to stop looking at some rule book of controls to do the job for you. And I can warn you that half a dozen lessons or a year study in astrology does not an astrologer make. Astrology reveals our relationship with purpose, our place on earth. It can tell us where we can do our best within that choosing of purpose, because we are blessed now with being able to travel anywhere we want to improve our lives. Astrology is able to reveal our significance within the orders, to explain why we go through this thing called life. I have been thinking about that a lot personally. I'm going to be 50 years old on New Year's Eve, and I want every one of you to remember that. And I want to somehow say, what does it all really mean? The word really, you see, when you stick it in, I could say, what does it all mean? But I might get something perfunctory. I want to know what it really means, which is something underneath, something primal. Fascinating. You say to someone, gee, that's a beautiful dress. And they say, you really think so? We're taught to doubt. We're taught, did you really like that? No, really? We're taught to doubt. We're not clear. We're waiting for something to help us control stuff, to be sure. And I'm trying to get laid back here a little bit to enjoy the surprises that I've learned do come. I'm sitting back here to enjoy the voyage that I see all around me. I think that more than any diagnostic body of knowledge known to man, that astrology reveals the nature of things in our personal identity, the values of our experience, the developments of our lifetime, and the dynamic relationships to the creative principle that we all have. I think it does all of that while it enriches us in our lives as astrologers. I think that when somebody comes up to you at a cocktail party and says, what do you do for a living, fella? You say, I'm an astrologer. There's going to be a way for you to say it eventually that won't get that response I talked about earlier. That won't register fear, because astrology shouldn't. That will offer some sort of interest to your new relationships as you share some time together, that establishes new values that have nothing to do with control. So I say to people starting out in this profession, you've heard one very tired and very perspiring man talk to you at the end of a 2-year period of heavy work and a 4-day blitz of fulfillment in a place where astrology has found its position within and under the sun today especially. And he says to you all, work well with the building blocks, find your own mode of expression with them, and join the circle. And to that obligation and to that opportunity, I welcome you.